Hello and welcome to a new lesson. Now we're going to talk about the 3D views. I have this layout, the school with the two kids, and they are already 3D and we can orbit with our camera and we can see how they are positioned. You can see that the girl is on front, the boy is a little to the back, and the background is at the end. So what if I want to have some more power over these looks, over these views? I want to be able to organize the things, the 3D layers, in a proper way, and this isn't actually the best way because you can see how distorted it gets, and it's really annoying to do something like this. So what I have to do is to play with the 3D views. Let's go to our viewport or composition panel, which is this one, of course, and you can see here that we have an option called active camera. If we open this, we can see new options. We have front, left, top, back, right, bottom, and custom view. 3 options of custom view. So right now active camera is selected, and this means that what we are looking at in this composition is through the camera lens. What we are looking at is through the camera, what the camera is looking at. But if I change this, for example, if I change this to front, you can see that I'm no longer seeing through the camera. I'm looking at directly at the front of the layer. And with this option selected, I can no longer move my camera orbit on our camera because I'm not seeing through the camera lens. In fact, this thing here, this little square with these lines, this is the camera, and this is where the camera is pointing at. If I select left, I'm not seeing anything because of course the layers are flat, so I have nothing on the depth, and I can see the camera here. The same goes if I go to the right. You can see my camera here. You can see how the camera is pointing at these layers. And if I go to the top, I can see my camera from the top. This is the top view, the back view, and of course on the back view I'm not seeing the boys and the boy and the girl because all I'm seeing is the background. And of course the bottom view. Now I can change anytime within this active camera and the front, the left, and everything. And also I have an amazing option called the custom view. This custom view is really useful because we can see in here the position of each layer on the depth. For example, I can see that this girl, if I move this layer here, I can see how far is his hair on the space. The same goes with the boy. So this allows me to move things more easily on the 3D space. Of course, I can rotate this view with my orbit tool, and I'm not seeing through the camera lens. You can see that the camera is here. This little pink square is the camera. All I'm seeing is it's like I'm a person and I'm looking through this 3D space, and here's my camera. So this is another point of view, and this will help us a lot to arrange things properly because otherwise we will have to do it on the active camera, and this is really a pain. Also, you can see another option here called camera 1, and that's because I can have 2 cameras. Let me create another camera 2, and on this camera I'm going to change the point of view to this one. So I have this camera and this camera. This camera is pointing to the front and this camera is pointing to a side. So I can choose which camera to look through. If I go to camera 2, I stayed here. If I go to camera 1, So I can arrange a whole lot of cameras and just select them and see how they go, how they are looking to the things, to the layers. Let me delete this. Now, there is an even better option here by the side of this active camera, and is that we can add some more views to our viewport. Right now we're only looking at one view, which is the active camera view. But if I press on two views, I can get two views from the camera. I can choose what view. If I, for example, select this panel and I want this to be custom view, and this one will be active camera. So this is really nice because I can see how the camera works in here. I can, for example, move my camera, and here on this custom view I can move it freely, and I can see how it is looking through the camera lens here on the active camera panel. I have two views horizontal, which is this display. I can change it to vertical, but I find this a little complicated. I can add to 4 views, maybe one to the front, one is another custom view, and this one is custom view 1. So everything I do changes. So that's a cool option to have, because we are now able to change things, change the position of things in a more proper way. I always work with 2 views horizontal. And now on the next lesson we're going to learn about the null objects and the depth of field. But right now I want to show you a nice trick. I want to show you how to work with 3D and make some layer into depth so that it's no longer a flat layer. I'm going to take these files. They are all the same size. They are all just funny faces in different colors. So we are going to create a cube with these faces. So this is rather simple. We're going to the composition settings. I'm going to choose a different size. Alright. I'm going to move the camera to the top. Actually, I'm going to make this composition a little taller. Increase the height. Okay, like this. Maybe a little bit more. Alright, now I'm going to create a cube with these faces. Here will be the front, and these are going to be the side faces. So I will select this one, select the second one, and I'm going to place it here on the right. Make sure it's perfectly aligned. Alright, this one, the third one, will be aligned to the left. Make sure that you don't leave any white spaces. And the fourth one will be on the top and on the bottom. Duplicate this one. Perfect. Now, first I want to make them all 3D, of course. And now I want them all to rotate and to become a cube. But if I, for example, change the rotation on this one, it will rotate on this point, and this can work, but I want it to rotate here on this exact point. So I will move the pan tool, pan behind tool, and grab my anchor point and move it to this left anchor point right here. And I'm going to repeat this same process for all of the sides. This one should be here on the bottom. On this one, the anchor point should be right on the top anchor, and on this one to the right. So now when I move everything, they will move like if they were a door or a book or something. Now all I have to do is to change the degrees on the rotation. For example, this one should be rotated on 90 degrees so that it stays there, but on minus 90 degrees. Alright, now with my camera selected, I'm going to orbit to see if this has worked. Okay, now you can see we have two sizes. Now it's time to repeat the same process with all of this. This one would move also on minus 90 or 90. If this happens, don't worry because we can move the camera later. And this one we should move on the x-axis, the red arrow, and we're going to set it to 90 degrees. And for this one we're going to set it to the x rotation on minus 90. Now let's take a look at how this looks. Perfect. Now we just need to create the back side, which is a copy of the front one, which is this one, the red one. And this copy we will change the position on the Z axis. We will move it, increase it until it's pointing right here. We can change to a left view, and here is our object. We're going to move it to the Z axis here. So you can see how I am using all of my views. Now let's take a look at our cube. It's looking really nice. So you can see how easy it is to create a 3D object. Of course, it doesn't apply to everything because, for example, like a more complicated shape can be really tricky to turn into a 3D object with depth. But this kind of objects, or something flat, maybe a rectangle or even a circle, we can create them and make them look nice on 3D, like this cube. And of course we can animate this. In fact, I'm going to animate the camera. I'm going to open my position settings here for the camera. I'm going to create a keyframe with a stopwatch, and on the first second I'm going to change the view. So now if I hit play, I can see this little animation. So that's it for the 3D views. You can see how useful they are because we can see everything, how everything works. Look at here how we can see how the camera is animated. So make sure that you put to good use these custom views. Now let's go to the next lesson to learn some more wonderful things.